Your grace and mercy brought me through. Live in this moment because of you. I want to thank you and praise you too. Your grace and mercy brought me through. Father God, I thank you for your grace and your mercy, for allowing me to stand here one more time. And Father, I ask now that you hold me close to your bosom. Take my tongue and wrap it up in your words. Use my lips, Father, that your people may hear your word. And Father, when you're through with me, allow me to sit down and give you the praise. Now, Father, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted to thy sight, O Lord my God. Amen. Amen. Let church say amen this evening. Amen. It's good to be here. Won't keep you long. I'm brief to the point. I don't believe I have to speak to you for 30 minutes, what I can do in 15. I thank the pastor for allowing me to stand here. And I'm in holy ground. I would like the pastor, I'll take my shoes off, but I thought maybe you didn't like it. But see, when you step on holy ground, God told Moses, take your shoes off. You're on holy ground. I'm going to speak to you briefly from two scriptures, A and a B. It's coming out of Luke, the 9th chapter. We ask you to pray for me because I don't use notes. I believe that God had put it in my heart. I must deliver it right. The 9th chapter of Luke and that 18th verse to the 21st verse. Everybody there? Say amen. I will wait for you down here, but when I go into the kingdom, I'll wait for no one. Everybody there now? And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, whom say the people that I am? They answered and said, John the Baptist. But some say Elijah, and others say one of the old prophets had risen again. He said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Peter answered, saying, the Christ of God. And straightway charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing. In the 18th verse, I'm going to use a A, and the 21st verse, I'm going to use a B. And it came to pass as he was praying alone. My text is, have you received your marching orders? How do you get your marching orders? Is through prayer. It's good to pray for one another. It's good to pray beside each other. But when it comes to you, you have to go to him by yourself and get your orders. For your orders come from God. One reason we have to get our orders from God, you got to know who you're going out and who you represent. A lot of people go out and talk crazy talk and don't know the person that gives the orders. Y'all with me this? Sometimes we talk about everything else, but we never talk about Jesus. How do people know that you are a child of God if you don't know God for yourself? And how do you know God if you don't talk to God by yourself? Even Jesus was always praying, the Son of God, and we should pray. And in the 21st verse, it says straight, I command them, tell no man that thing. I want you to understand this evening, he was talking to his disciples when he gave them and empowered them to do great things. And he asked him, and as he was praying, as usually, and we should pray. You ever have sickness in your body? Go to God and pray. If things trouble in your way, go to God by yourself and pray. You see, one thing I found out, you can tell God all that you are, and nobody else will tell it. So go to God and get your marching orders. What is your marching orders? To do thus says the Lord. It's like, if I paraphrase it, like we go to work. You get your orders from your employer, and if you don't do it, he get rid of you. But one thing about going to God, if you mess up, he give you another chance to get it straight. Y'all with me? But sometimes we talk about everything else, but don't talk about God. Have you ever, when we go out to witness and people look at your life and you begin to talk about this and talk about that, but we're not talking about the main source. A lot of people don't want to hear you talking because you're talking about all kinds of stuff. Have you ever heard back in D.C., there was a man that talked too much? You ever heard anybody talk too much? Always running off the mouth and don't have nothing to say? Can I tell you what I want to say this evening? There was a man that he always talking, and people didn't want to be around him. You ever been around people like that? Come on, somebody can say amen. And he talks too much, and he's walking down the street and throwing his buddies, and his buddies didn't want to be bothered with him. You ever had people didn't want to be bothered with you? They didn't want to be bothered with him. You say, you talk crazy talk. And sometimes when you're witnessed by Christ, somebody, Antichrist, say you're talking crazy. But if you got your marks in order, you stand on your ground. But this guy was convinced that he was okay. They went out and do it, so he left by himself, walking up the street. Man, nobody likes me. And he got down the street about 2 blocks, and a turtle said, you talk too much. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You talk too much. So he got beside and said, man, a talking turtle, I can make some money. So he runs back down the street and talked to his buddy and say, look, come and see, I found a talking turtle. And the guy said, you talking crazy. We told you we don't want to be bothered with you. And he said, look here, if this turtle don't talk, you could take my life tonight. So the guy said, okay. So he walked 2 blocks up the street. He said, talk, turtle. Turtle ain't said a word. He hauled out, kicked him. I said, talk, turtle. Turtle ain't said a word. So the guy said, remember now, you said that if that turtle didn't talk, I would take your life. So he pulls out his gun and shoots him. Bam! He falls on the ground. The guy walks away. And as he was laying there dying, the turtle said, I told you, you talk too much. See, we're always talking about other things instead of talking about Jesus. Prayer is the answer to everything that we do. Prayer is the key. If you know how to pray and go to God by yourself. I found people say, I don't know how to pray. And I said, Lord have mercy. And then people don't believe that God will do what he said he would do. When you ask God, you must believe in prayer. And God, when you believe, God will answer you. For Moses said over in Exodus 15-24, and the people murmured against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? Y'all remember this story? And he cried out unto the Lord. Ain't it good when things go wrong, you cry out to a Savior? He's right there with you. Look what it said. And the Lord showed him the tree, which he had cast into the water. The water were made sweet. There he made for them a statue. What I'm trying to say, the water in your life might be bitter, but when you talk to God, God will make it sweeter. You have to must believe it. And all I'm trying to tell you, in Jude 6:39, it says, Gilead said unto God, let not thy anger be not against me. You know, when you do something to God, when you go to God in prayer and ask God to forgive you and believe it, he will do it for you. Come on, somebody. Hannah in 1 Samuel said, for this child I pray, and the Lord has given me my petition which I asked for. Y'all believe in prayer? Prayer is the answer to everything that we do. I imagine and back in Old Testament days when I was reading, and Sarah, 95 years old, I believe. If I'm wrong, somebody catch me. She asked a child, and then when she came with a child, people thought she was crazy. Come on. You must believe, when you ask God for something, you must believe in your heart you're going to get it. It might not come at midnight. It might not come in daylight. But surely it's coming when you trust in God. For Jesus said, if you abide in me, and I abide in you, and you ask me anything that you want, he will do it. Amen. But you got to have faith. You remember the story in 1 Kings 9:3. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard that prayer and that supplication that thou hast made before me. You know, stop worrying if God heard you. Just worry if you do it right. In my life, I found out when I ask God for something, when he don't deliver it, the first thing I look at is me. And if it's not me, and if I have not messed up, I say, yes, Lord, I'll wait on thee. He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time if you believe in prayer. That's the only way you can get to God is through prayer. And you got to go through Jesus Christ. Because Jesus said, you can't get to the Father unless you come through me. We look at Elijah when he cried out, hear, O Lord, hear me, that thy people may know that thou art the Lord. How do people in a sinful world know who God is if they're not looking at us? And how can we tell somebody about a saving God what we don't believe? That's what be so messed up now. We don't want to say God. They tell me in the school that you can't talk about Jesus. And I always tell them, I'm going to talk about Jesus. You follow me if you want to. It's still all right. And what has happened to us, reason we don't have the prayer school and the Bible school for Christian folks stop doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're too afraid that we're going to lose what we got. We're too afraid we're going to go to jail. But the prophet is always in jail. There was always, I remember Paul was always getting beat up. Always on a shipwreck. Always in a jail. But he stood on the word of God. Daniel, y'all know the story about Daniel. Y'all know about Peter. Peter was a big mouth prophet. He was always talking before he thought. And that's what we do sometimes. We always talking about something and haven't prayed about it. When you go witness, ask God. All right, people tell, well, I can't go. Why? Because I don't know. Jesus said, if you go, I'll speak through you. If you can't speak, I'll send somebody with you. Go back in the Old Testament when he talked about Moses. We got an excuse and everything God tells us to do because we're afraid to go to prayer. Do you know why a lot of people don't pray? Because they don't want to do what God tells them to do. We want to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, and how we want to do it. But if you make it, you're going to make it to heaven, you must do it God's way. And then we look at that, look at the word when it said Jesus told the disciples, don't go tell them about it now. Why? Because Jesus had to die to make the people believe that he is who he said he was. But you and I now can go and tell everybody when we go pray and get our marching orders from God. You can't go down on Main Street of Louisville and God didn't send you down there. Come on, somebody. You can't go to Vine Grove and God didn't send you over there. You can't go to E-Town and God didn't send you over there. God always sends us where he wants us to go, not where we want to go. We want to take the easy way out. But we couldn't tell it. They couldn't tell it, but you can tell it now because Jesus died and he got up on the third day. You can tell this world that he is alive. How do I know he's alive? Because I just got through praying with him and he just talked to me and he told me what to say. I know he's alive because there have been some places that I know I wasn't going to make it out. Let me give you a little testimony this morning. This evening. Anybody here ever want to go to hell? You ever been there? I've been to hell. In the deep jungles of Vietnam, there was hell. Burnt bodies, stinky bodies, people are crying and hollering. And I decided I don't want to go this way. I want to be on God's side. So when I looked at that, it made me change my mind and my way of looking and my way of action. And sometimes God allows us to fall flat on our back before we even look up. Sometimes God allows God don't take things from you, he allows other people to take it from you because you won't talk to him. We talk to God when we want something. You talk with God when everything's going fine. Because every time that people mess with me, the devil's on my back, I look up, say, Father, I thank you, I'm still your child because the devil still messes with me. And if the devil's not messing with you, my sisters and brothers, you better check yourself out. But I come out to tell you, prayer is the answer if you believe what you ask for. And it's all in the Bible. It's talking about the prophet, talking about when they ask. I believe when I want something, I talk to God. When the people say no, and I ask God, and God will make them say yes. Come on. But you got to go tell it like God wants you to tell it. That's the reason the church is not full, because we want to tell about me, myself, and I. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about Jesus Christ. When we learn it's about him and him only, oh, it may be rough for you. You may lose your life. You may lose everything you got. Believe me, whatever Satan takes from you, God got something better for you. I used to look at myself, and I always thought I want some more clothes. And one answer one time, the reason you can't give you no more clothes, the clothes you got, you can't get in. Why don't you give it to somebody that can use it? When I emptied out, it fulfilled it up. It's like when I pay my tithes and I give an offering to God, and I ain't worried about how to use it. It ain't my business. My business to give it to it. And every time I give it, it doubles back to me. Come on, somebody. I walked in a store one day, and I asked God in the morning when I pray, allow me to be a witness for you, Christ, that you will get the glory. I walked in the store, and there was a man there that couldn't pay for his food, and I didn't have much money, but I gave it up for him, and I left. Next time I walk in the store at a restaurant to buy some food, you know what they told me? Put your money away because your money is no good here. I walked in the store one day, somebody shook my hand, and you know how people shake your hand, don't leave nothing? But sometimes they shake your hand and they say, take this now, I'm going to buy you dinner, don't lose it. And so I went on and got my meal out of my own pocket. I sat down and I looked, what did they give me? And I looked in my pocket and it was a crisp $100 bill. And I said, Lord, thank you, for God makes a way out of no way. He knows what you need if you just trust him. When you go to pray, tell him all about your problems. Don't hide anything from him. Tell it you messed up. Tell God you messed up, for he will straighten it up. Y'all look, ain't always could wear fine clothes and $300 and $400 suits and $150 shoes. Come on, somebody. Ain't always been there, but I thank God that I'm blessed to do it. But I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I'm still trying to make heaven my home. I look at y'all. I thank God for y'all. But I'll tell you one thing. Can I tell you the truth? If I get to heaven, I'm not going to look for you. My wife said, no, I'm not even going to look for my wife. Come on. When I get to heaven, I'll fall on my knees and say, Lord, thank you. Well, let a wretch undone like me in here. I'm going to praise him. And by chance, I'll have to look to his right, and it'll be a good thing. But I'm going to praise God. I'm going to pray and ask God to help me. Help me to hold out till my change comes. He didn't promise that it's going to be easy. But every time I get into trouble, I say, Lord, help me to hold out until my change comes. If you would just only get on your knees. Now, I told you it's good to pray together. It's good to pray for each other, but you need to go and pray by yourself. You need to get down there and spend some time with God, and then you need to be quiet. Our biggest problem, we want to pray and then get up and go about our business. Sometimes you got to be quiet and listen to God and let God speak. A lot of times we can't get an answer because we're too busy talking. We're too busy there, God help me here, God do this, and God do that. But God, when you get through this, and God says, I heard your prayer. What you going to do if I bless you? Are you going to bless someone else? What you going to do if I tell you the truth? Are you going to tell someone else? We want to keep it to ourselves. But prayer is the answer for everything in your life. If you just pray, when you get your marching orders, do thus says the Lord. Don't listen to Satan. Satan's the one who don't want you to do it. The prophets, they was always praying. I looked when they were talking about how many loaves of bread we got. How many fish do we have? God took little and make it big. And then God can take the little stuff in your life and my life and make it big. God can take your small boys and make it big. It's not how you say it, it's how God say it through you. And it can make it big. It's powerful when you allow God to speak through us. When we stop looking at others. We always hollering about she don't sing right, the preacher don't preach right, the deacon don't pray right. What are you doing? We had a custom didn't clean up, didn't pick that piece of paper. Why didn't you pick it up? You can't ask somebody else to do what you don't do. You can't ask people to pray when you don't pray. You can't ask people to believe when you don't believe. And they're watching you. I guarantee if you took a survey, and I've been a police officer 21 years in the detective section, I graduated from U.S. Marshal Academy. Most criminals I talk with say they watch people when they leave home. They know how long you've been gone and how long it takes you to get back. They're in and out. So people watching you. They're watching the Christian folks. Who's watching? Antichrist. Antichrist wants you to fail because they can tell somebody, look at him, he saved us all of this and all of that. He ain't getting it. I'm not worried about if I don't get it on this side. If I know, sure, then when I get on the other side, I'm going to get it. Come on, somebody. But we got to get the marching orders from Christ. And then when you get your marching orders for Christ, then God send your under shepherd to show you what you want to do. But when the under shepherd comes and tells us something to do, we want to question, oh, you really want to do that? But if you had been talking to God in prayer, you would already know when he told you something. It used to scare me to death. When I was a pastor, Dr. Jones, and he'd be preaching, and I'd be in the pulpit sitting there, and I was a youth minister, and I would say, man, I was on pins and needles. Because I know I didn't study last week. And I was so afraid that the pastor would get the preacher, turn around, say, Brother Martin, ain't that right? Tell him where you got it from. And I'd be sitting there like. But I want God, when somebody asks me, I want to be able to give an answer. And I want to give the right answer. You may not like it, but I'm going to give it the right answer. And if I don't know, I don't know. Let me get to my word. I'll come out and give it an answer. And that's through prayer. That's through getting your marching order. God tells us exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and where to do it. All we got to believe it. I ain't going to keep you long. But if you leave here tonight, just think I got my marching orders. Look at your neighbor and tell, I got my marching orders from God. That's what it counts. Marching orders from God. And when God gives you the order, it's right. You don't have to dot no I's and cross no T's. You just got to believe it. And go do it. We, a bunch of Christians, don't have to go through stuff that the other prophets went through. Paul and Silas was in jail. And the jailhouse back then is not like the jailhouse now. See, back when Paul and Silas in the jail, they walked through the door and they let them down in the deep of the dungeon and chained to the wall. They wasn't worried. Now, had it been me, I'm being honest, they had to lock me up, I'd be thinking how to get out. But Paul and Silas know who they served, and they started praising God. They tell me the chains fell off. And they wasn't scared. Now, if the chains had fell off of me, I'd have ran. But since I know God, I stand my ground. I preached a sermon one time, Jesus and his homeboys down in the hood doing good, and nobody liked it. Sometimes you got to go in the hood. And I ain't talking about the rich hood. And I ain't talking about the poor hood. I'm talking about the hood where the sinners are. Come on, somebody. When you go in the hoods where the sinners are, and then when the day you get to heaven, God asks you a question, what have you done for me? You can say, Lord, I didn't bring many, but I bought 2 or 3. But we're not going to get there. We're not going to come together and be the child of God that God wants us to be if we don't pray. Because each one of us here got different ideas. It's good to have God different. I'm glad God didn't make us the same. I'm glad God didn't make us alike. Because you know why? If God made me like you and made me think like you, every time you got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go get some water, I would have to get up and go get some water when I didn't want none. Come on. But God brings us together, and he put our minds together, and I like it. Put it all on the table. Put your ideas on the table. And take out what works to give God the glory. And what don't give God the glory, leave it alone because it ain't no good. Don't think just because you saved and I've been saved for 30-some years. Don't stop praying, y'all. It don't take but a second. It's almost like I did a lot of traveling. You know how your gas tank get just about E and you tell yourself, I can make it? Y'all ain't did that? And then you run out of gas, then you wish your hair to stop and got something good? It's like prayer. We wish we had prayed before it happened. Come on, somebody. Amen. And then when they do happen, and I was driving the other day, and I think I was on my way to Frankfurt. And I saw a guy's vehicle broke down, and you knew what he was doing? He was on his knees praying. That's a good thing I wasn't driving, because I sure would have stopped and went and got him. But sometimes you can't go where you want to go. You have to go where God wants you to go. And how do you know that? It's through prayer. If you got a prayer life, and I guarantee you, things may be rough, but you'll come out the victory every time. Why? Because God gives you the order. God don't send you nowhere where he don't prepare you to go. He told the prophets, don't tell nobody. Why? Because God has something to do to show the people that he is God. And sometimes we don't need to go any place until God tells us to go. Because when God tells you to go, he has prepared for you. But we must believe it. We must trust in God. And as I close tonight, I just stopped by to tell you prayer is the answer. If you believe it. Don't y'all know? How many here tonight, don't raise your hand, but I'm just asking you a question. How many of you tonight believe in Jesus Christ? How many of you saved tonight? Now, didn't Jesus tell us that we do greater things than he did? That's in the Bible. If we can do greater things, if Jesus gave life back from the dead, heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and he tell me that I can do greater things than that, why am I doing it? And we're not doing it because we don't believe it. You got the power. Hook it up in prayer. You got the power to heal. Hook it up in prayer. If you need finance, hook it up in prayer. Because God got everything. Everything on 1,000 hills belongs to God. All the gold vault belongs to God. Everything the governors got belongs to God. Everything the doctors do belongs to God. Prayer will change things. I went last week to study, be instructor for the county school system, and there was, let me put this thing down, I talk about it without the mic. When I got there, they had over, that's it, and they said, I have to learn it all. And what they're going to teach me, 3 months, is going to give it to me in 4 days. You know I was scared. Not that I didn't trust God, but I know where my path was for. Call back from the white country to pray for me. Because I know God can fix anything that I do. Then on Friday, I sat there and I still intend to leave y'all. Don't say nothing. I'll wait. And I'll pray for patience. Never call my name. Got ready to say, I'm going to tell y'all a good thing. Everybody can pass this course when we come in here. They was there 20-some years and say, everybody come in, everybody don't pass.
Get it.